All right, welcome to the Eric J. the Great podcast show. We got a very special guest on the show today, Bishop Kevin Foreman. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Glad to be with you today. Excited about our conversation.
Oh, absolutely. First off, tell the people where you from.
So I'm born in Denver, raised in Memphis, and now relocated our headquarters to Atlanta, Georgia. So that's where I'm at now, Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. What's the first thing that come to mind when you think of your hometown?
Hometown. Listen, so Memphis is what I consider hometown, even though I was born in Denver. If you can make it in Memphis, you can make it anywhere. If you can survive in Memphis, you can survive anywhere. So much comes out of Memphis, from food to music to, culture changers. So much comes out of Memphis. And I grew up in Orange Mound, this part of Memphis, and it was known immediately post-slavery as one of the many black Wall Streets that we had around the nation. And of course, it goes through the plight that often accompanies a lot of those areas just through the policy and lack of investment, et cetera. But in Memphis, it was one of those places where, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And so when I think of Memphis, that's the first thing that comes to mind. You can make it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So take me through anybody that never been to Memphis or Denver, because I don't know how long you was in both spots. Just take me through how it was just growing up as a kid, just challenges you had to overcome, just
Yeah.
an average kid there.
Yeah, so the joke is I came out of my mom's room with a Bible and a briefcase. Like, I was different as a kid. I had this side of me that was very business oriented, entrepreneurial, industrious, a natural leader. And then I had this side of me that was very spiritual. So I just was drawn towards spirituality. I used to watch on Friday nights. There was this preacher that used to come on TV, Dr. Frederick Casey Price. He was in Los Angeles, and he would walk around and he would talk and teach and all of that. And I literally on Friday nights, I would make everybody at my great great grandmother's house, we call her Mimi, I make everybody be quiet. And they were like, "Y'all be quiet." The Rev, that's what they called me as a kid. They said the Rev is watching Reverend Price, and so that's what I would do. I just was different. I was the type of kid that I friends with the teachers. Like, while kids were trying to hang out with one another, I was like, well, I want to be good with who's got the power. I want to be good with who are the leaders. And that was the natural leader in me, being drawn to other leaders. And so, interestingly enough, I was really shy though as a kid. You put me on a stage, I would come alive. You put me in a small group, oh man, I was super shy. Like, I remember in second grade, had a crush on this girl. Her name was Kalila. And my teacher knew. And remember, I'm good with the teachers. Like, we're like this. So they knew that I had this crush on her. And so they were like, they said, "You want to go over there in her class?" He was in a different classroom. I said, "I do. I do." And they said, "Okay." So they let me in the middle of the day go over to her class to be in her class. I got around this girl that I had the hugest crush on and only got there to just sit there and say nothing to that girl. I was so nervous that I didn't say nothing. And so, while I had this I came alive on stages in front of people, sometimes in private or smaller settings, I was super shy. Grew up, my father was an abuser. He was a womanizer. For those that have seen the movie What's Love Got to Do with It, that Ike Turner personification, that's what my stepfather was. He was abusive to my mother. He was a womanizer. He was a lot of the things that when you look at him, you say, these are things I don't want to be. And I use that and I recognize that that was a gift to me. Sometimes God gives us the gift of seeing what not to be and what not to do. And so it was really a gift. And there were some good things that came out of that. He was very charismatic. He was very persuasive. He could sell ice to an Eskimo off of that man's own igloo. Like, he had the ability to say things and share things and communicate in such a way that it made you a believer. I got that from him. He was a very good businessman. I got that from him. And so, in Memphis, I saw it all. I saw drugs, I saw gangs, drive-by shootings, the whole nine. I saw that. I was exposed to that. But there was something in me that said, you got to pick different. You're different. You got to do different. Denver, very different in many ways. So in Denver as a kid, Denver is 4% black. So it is almost the antithesis of the area of Memphis. It's a totally different environment. And so you became like the token black kid. in Denver to where, you're the one that stands out because there's not a lot of you in the first place. And so it was very easy to stand out. It was very easy to succeed, very easy to do well, but you also dealt with racism and prejudice that was really different. In the South, it might be more overt. The Confederate flags, things like that. It's more overt, still wrong. In Denver, it was more insidious. It was like you're the token, and I say this with air quotes, you're the token black kid. You're used as a prop. There's this undercurrent of like, why are you here? And I succeeded very early. I started my first business when I was 12, got into ministry when I was 12. By the time I was 21, I built Denver's largest black-owned mortgage company. And so, I was used to success, but there was always this undercurrent of like, well, you just need to be happy. And, like, why are you reaching for more? You just kind of need to settle. And that's just never who I was. That wasn't me then. That's definitely not me now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So did you have a two-parent household? Any siblings?
Yes, grew up with my brother and sister, and then I have another sister that's my biological father. So I've got two sisters and a brother. And for most of my upbringing, my mom really functioned as a single parent because while she was married to my stepfather, again, I mentioned how he was in and out of jail, in and out of locked up, being locked up. And so, for most of that time, she really functioned as a single parent. And I give big kudos to her to this day, because, it takes a lot. I'm gonna be honest. I was a bad little boy. I was rambunctious. That was the leader in me that all that leadership just needed direction. And but she functionally was a single parent in many ways and did an amazing job. I often say my mother's greatest gift to me was that she got out of my way. And what I mean by that, she knew that I was different. Like I was the type of kid I was signing my own permission slips. I was, I would, update her on what was going on. Like, oh yeah, I'm taking a trip to Alaska next week. Like, what are you talking about? She's a mom. She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, I signed it. That's good. She knew that I was different and she let me become and evolve. And there's a difference between covering and smothering. She covered, she didn't smother.
Absolutely. So, were you into any sports when you was a kid?
Man, I played football for a season and a half. I got popped one time. I said, this is not the life for me. I was a fullback. I played freshman year because my biological father was into football. And so I was like, okay, let me try it. I had to bill for it. Like, let me try it. So I was fullback and then middle linebacker, went on the defensive side. And it just wasn't my thing. I did okay. It just wasn't my thing. I just really enjoyed, like I said, the Bible in a briefcase type thing. I enjoyed things that were different. Like to me, football was a means to an end, but that just wasn't my thing. I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoyed watching it, but I didn't enjoy, again, playing in Denver too. You're playing in blizzards and snow and all of that. I was like, this ain't really my thing. Give me something. Put me in a boardroom. Put me in front of a group of people. I think everybody's got to figure out that path for them, but I certainly am very athletic. And have a very athletic build and very athletic lifestyle. But that was the only sport. It was a season and a half. And that half season was because I said, y'all can have this. I can't, this ain't for me.
Absolutely. So, if you had to pick something like, what would you say led you to entrepreneurship and led you to ministry? Did you have like someone, a close family friend or a close relative that was close that you looked up to that was in the same type of thing, or was that just something you just on your own?
No, I'm the first. So I'm the first PhD, first, certain educational levels, first bishop, which is for those unfamiliar, it's just a pastor to pastors. Every coach needs a coach, every general needs a general, every leader needs a leader. First pastor, first to achieve certain things economically. It's a principle I teach about being a curse breaker. I was the first of many in my bloodline, in my family. Nobody else did it. In fact, I ordained my grandfather into the ministry. I conferred my grandfather's doctorate on him prior to his passing, unexpected passing about a year and a half ago. I'm the first.
Wow, wow, that's crazy because and it's a lot of people. The age stuck out to me too when you said that you started at 12 because all the churches that I've been to I only ran across probably I could probably count on one hand how many people that I know that started out that young,
Yeah,
like before they got out of grade school. So
yeah,
that's that's
yeah.
that's real rare.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I got into ministry through music. I started as a drummer and I was horrible, man, when I started. I was horrible, but I got good. They eventually inducted me in the Colorado Gospel Music Hall of Fame. I didn't know we had one until they inducted me in it. That was a great honor. And then from there, I was, did choirs and wrote music and songs and organizational management, entrepreneurship, all of those things really combined. There's a scripture that says God makes us kings and priests, spiritual and successful. So it's not either or, it's both and my life has really always been a both and type of life. And so then at 19, I was ordained into ministry, officially ordained. I've been functioning as a leader since 12. And then not too long thereafter, a few years after, we planted the church. Not too long thereafter, I was elected, by a group of pastors actually here in Atlanta, to serve as a bishop to oversee other pastors. And so, it's been an amazing ride. I got started early. I prayed this prayer. I said, God, accelerate my destiny. I said, wherever you want me to go, let me get there fast.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I ain't never heard nobody have that type of prayer.
Yeah. 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 It was just, I'd never heard it either. I was just like, you know what? I don't want to wait until I'm 40, 50, 60, 70. Nothing against that. I just said, I don't want to wait that long before I'm doing what I'm created to do. So accelerate it for me. And, you pray crazy prayers, you get crazy results. You get crazy answers. Like, I think back as I do a lot of these podcasts and a lot of these interviews, I think back over my journey and I got way more to do. By no means do I see myself as having arrived or accomplished everything. I feel like I'm just getting started, to be honest with you. But in that, a lot of the times, when I look over my journey, I'm like, wow, this has been amazing and so much that has been done. And, a lot of it done, at a very early age. I just never saw why do we have to wait so long to do certain things. And so I just never accepted that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, so when it comes to anything that you do in life, you got to build confidence in it.
Yeah.
And with you taking the entrepreneur path and getting into ministry, which is well, I would say it's a very lonely journey because you going on a path that a lot of people or steer away from because you have to be on a very righteous path, very
Mm-hmm.
straight and narrow. So,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say? What moment in your life that gave you the confidence to know that I can do this long term? I don't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I think confidence grows over time. I think the better you get at something, the more confident you are, but you're never going to get confident unless you have more reps, repetition. I think results are in repetition. And so I remember when we started the church, because I was familiar with business and starting business, the business side of it, frankly, was pretty easy to me. I know how to set it up. I know how to get things done. I know how to build teams. Like I know how to do that. I remember one day I was driving down the street and this great sense of fear came over me. Like, oh my God, what are you going to preach every week? You're going to have a message every week. Like you have to come up with something new every week. Like, how are you going to do that? And I mean, it was like paralyzing because I was like, oh my God, I was like, I see why people leave churches because pastors don't have that to talk about. They ain't got that to talk about because you got to come up with something every week to talk about. And, but as I got my reps in, that became the least of my concerns. And to this day, that is the least of my concerns. I have more to say than I have time to say it. I have more to teach than I have time to teach it. So I think the way I knew that this would be part of my journey and part of what I was called and created to do because I felt like a fish in water. The thing that you're supposed to do, even if you're not the best at it, when you're dropped in it, you do it and you do it effortlessly. You do it well. I did a lot of TV and I just would get in front of the camera and just boom, like I come alive, and people say, did you train for this? No. Have you gone through classes for this? No. It was the confidence that was built because of the reps. I got used to sitting in front of the lights, the camera, the action. I got used to standing on the stages, used to influencing the people. And I think with anything, and I love your question, the more reps you get in, the more confident you become. Don't let a lack of confidence make you think that that's not what you're called to do. The more reps you get in, the more confident you will become, and it becomes like second nature for you. But the feeling you get from doing it, that's how you know, because you're like a fish in water. You're like, this is what I do. Even if I'm not the best at it, this is what I do. This is what I do.
Absolutely. So, with entrepreneurship and ministry, now that you've been in it a while, when you look back on it, what's something that caught you by surprise that you didn't know
Mm.
that you experienced? Like, because when you get involved with something, you like, you try to prepare yourself, be like, oh, I know I might have to deal with this or deal with that, but
Yeah.
so it's always going to be something that a curveball get thrown at you. So what was that for you?
Yeah. So ministry, one of the biggest curveballs was the amount of betrayal and emotional trauma that comes with it. So I'm gonna keep it 100, which I'm gonna keep it real. I'm sure everybody's likely heard the term where people say church hurt, and that normally means they've gone to a church and experienced some type of disappointing experience with church. And most times people talk about that from the pew to the pulpit. I've experienced it on both sides. And here's what I can tell you. Most of the pain or trauma or hurt, it comes from the pew to the pulpit because people forget sheep have teeth and some sheep got grills. And when they bite, that thing is painful. And I think, I wasn't expecting the amount of the volume of how much you could do for people, and you wouldn't be told thank you. It wouldn't be appreciated. It wouldn't be valued. It wouldn't be celebrated. It wouldn't be where you could do everything for somebody and be the best thing since sliced bread on Sunday, and then on Monday they could tell you, take me off your list. That was not something that I was prepared for. And so when you're not prepared for a thing, when it happens, you can think it's abnormal or wrong. You can even second guess yourself. What am I doing wrong? What should I do different? And I had to learn a great lesson there is that that's normal. They betrayed Jesus. They did Jesus dirty. They're going to do you the same way. That's human nature. It doesn't mean you stop loving. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It just means you do it in a way to where you are in expectancy of humans to human, of people to do what people do. So that was ministry. On the business side, one of the curveballs was really about structuring everything. There's a scripture that says, "Prepare for the worst." And in business, a lot of times we prepare for success, we expect success, but sometimes we didn't prepare for the worst. And I remember the business I told you about, the mortgage business, for example. We had built it. We were doing more revenue in 1 month than most people would do in their lifetime. And over the weekend, that business collapsed. I felt like Nino Brown in New Jack City. I wanted to walk into a meeting with all black on, with a Rottweiler, and just be mad. I mean, it was crazy. And I just opened a brand new office, just hired 50 people for that office. We have to immediately shut that office down because the industry collapsed. It wasn't just our business, it was the entire industry. Just collapsed. It was like dominoes. Had to shut it down, had to shut the primary office down. And within a matter of a couple of weeks, you went from a very successful business to what are we going to do next? What am I going to do next? It's like going from a waterfall to like a water fountain. That's what it was. And I learned some very powerful lessons. In fact, that's what I wrote my first book on, Making Money Moves, the art of getting your finances in order. I said, God, if you get me out of this valley, because it created a valley, if you get me out of this, I will teach other people how to do it. That's what that first book was about. All the lessons I learned in the valley. And I'm happy to say and happy to report that I learned those lessons, applied those lessons, and I came back bigger, better, and stronger than I ever was before.
Okay. What made you want to write a book?
Listen, it was literally that. I said, God, if you get me through this, I would teach other people how to do it. I never written a book before. We had a blizzard in Denver, and in over 3 days, I literally tapped out on my HP laptop. I typed out I wrote the whole book. I said, here are all the lessons I've learned. I'm going to write this book, and I'm going to share with people the principles that I learned from this valley experience, and help them, because I wish I would have had something like that to help me, so that when I went through that valley, I knew, this was a valley, and valleys aren't permanent. Trouble doesn't last always.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, it's probably going to be a deep question, but what would you say is the current state of ministry right now when you think about it from a world aspect?
Love that question. Come on, I like that. I would say, when you look at the word ministry, it just means to serve. And there's always opportunities to serve. When you talk about the church in a global sense, I think what I'm seeing is that there is a hunger in ways I've not seen before. Like at the time you and I are having this conversation for Harvest, we've seen almost 1,700. Actually, today we just crossed 1,700 decisions this year alone of people making a decision to become Christians. Almost 13,000 in our existence. So I'm seeing that there's a hunger. At the same time, I am seeing that there is this rise of a pseudo false Christianity and a pseudo false church. What do I mean by that? This conflation and connection and it's called many different things, but where people are making their political party more important than his kingdom. They are making the nation they live in more important than his kingdom. They are making lots of anti-biblical principles seem like biblical principles in his name. And so I am seeing that is seemingly on the rise. And it confuses people, because some people will look at that and say, well, if this is what Christians stand for, this is what Christians are, I'm a part of that. And I think it's one of those nuanced things, to where every person, you really, growing up old school, they used to say you got to know God for yourself. You really do. Because in the culture we live in right now, when I say Christian to somebody, that brings up a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people. Are you talking about the evangelical Christians which is a whole different thing than biblical Christianity? Christian nationalists, that's a whole different thing than biblical Christianity. What are you talking about when you say that? So, I think there's a hunger, and I think there's lots of questions being asked. And I think that's a good thing. I think that a faith that can't be tested is a faith that can't be trusted. So, one of the things I love about our church is that we reach a lot of unchurched, de-churched people. Unchurched, never been in church. De-churched, were in church, fell away for whatever reason. And I think part of that is because when I teach, when I preach, when I'm presenting the word, I'm doing it in a way that it doesn't make you have to turn off your brain. It doesn't make you have to drop your intellect. We're addressing life's questions, life issues in a real practical way. So to answer the question, I think there's a hunger. I think there's confusion, but I think those two things together create revival, because it's going to make people pursue God and go after God, despite some of the crazy that we see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, as far for all the people that follow you, what's some things you like doing in your spare time when you're not dealing with your businesses and doing stuff with your ministry?
Great question, man. I love to exercise. I've lost 100 now, like 20 pounds. And so these days I am like, gym is therapy to me. So I'm in the gym, 6 days a week. I am doing 5 to 10 miles every single day in my jog. I love to do that, but I'm very competitive. So I love places like, Dave and Buster type places like that. Love them. And I'm super competitive, like all of that. Oh, it's all about having a good time. No, I want to win. So I'm gonna have a good time when I'm winning. So I am very competitive. Listen, get me on a game of Uno and I am very competitive. This thing turns out, listen, the smiles and all that, I'm gonna smile, but this is real. Like I'm super competitive. It's just that my brother and sister, They are very much so the same way. All of us are the same way. So when you get all of us together, like during the holidays and stuff, when you get all of us together, it's time to play a game. Oh, listen, it's intense. It's very intense because if we're not on the same team, we are actively fighting one another to win, which healthy competition is good. I love to eat. I don't necessarily know that I'm a foodie. In that sense, I like good food. I'll say it like that. Love to do recreational things, love to be outside. I can pretty much enjoy doing anything. Here's what I've learned from me. I can enjoy doing anything if I'm doing it with the right people. So to me, it's about the company that I keep and the circle that I have that really adds value to my life. And so I can get fulfillment and enjoyment out of a conversation as long as I'm having that conversation with the right people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as far as your businesses, entrepreneurship, and ministry, what are some people or some things you want to partner with in both of those lanes in the future?
Ooh, I love that question. I've never been asked that. I think from a ministry, standpoint, I certainly think that when I look at partnerships, we're continuing to evolve and expand our partnerships of what we call outreach partners. So we get excited about the work we do in communities, whether it's Denver, here in Atlanta, or because we're a hybrid church, so wherever people are we are and so if it's in their communities, creating additional partnerships to reach more people, that's really important to me. Like we count the almost 250,000 articles of clothing we've given away, the almost 200,000 pounds of food that we've given away, the 25,000 plus toys we've given away, almost $1 million in missions that we've given both domestic and abroad. All of that, that's what excites me. So building those partnerships in a greater way. And then from a business standpoint, so my primary for-profit business right now is in mergers and acquisitions, primarily acquisitions. So buying businesses. And I think one of the greatest things everybody has been taught, we've been taught a hustle culture, which is not bad, right? Hustle, go get it, hustle, go get it. That's good. What I discovered is that there's a much simpler, faster way to get to whatever level you're trying to go to. Just buy what somebody else did. And for many people, I think it's the one area. In fact, I created and we're creating a whole community around it right now that people can join at bishopforeman.com. We're creating a whole community around it where I teach those principles. I merge the two, spirit and success, like success and spirituality. You merge the two. Because a lot of people want to go start a business, and that's great, and that's fine. But there's a simpler, faster way. You can just go buy something somebody else built. And so those partnerships are always only 1 out of 12 businesses in America sells. That means the majority of businesses just go away, which means jobs go away, money goes away, concept goes away, equipment goes away. What would happen, and I think this is so powerful, what would happen, especially if those who have typically been pushed out, marginalized, sidelined, what would happen if black men and women, brown men and women, all men and women, but especially those that have seemingly been pushed out, marginalized, what would happen if we said Warren Buffett's not the only one that can do this? Because that's all Warren Buffett does. He doesn't, that's all Berkshire Hathaway does. He just buy parts of companies. That's it. Blackstone and a lot of the big private equity firms that people talk about. All they do is buy companies. That's it. Red Lobster. Everybody looks at that and how they were in bankruptcy and came out of bankruptcy. Most people don't know the story. Red Lobster was purchased by a private equity firm that happened to be a shrimpery and fishery. So when they were doing, remember they were doing the never ending shrimp and all of that. And people said that's why they went bankrupt. No, their parent company made them buy all of those shrimp from them. So they had to come up with a way to get rid of all those shrimp. The parent company made them and this can all be independently verified. So I'll just say this is not financial advice, nor is it. So I'll say allegedly as reported in the news. But their parent company made them, they owned those locations. They made them sell them and then lease them back at very high interest rates. So they saddled the company down with debt. That's one of those things that often happens with private equity. So anyway, I go down that rabbit trail to simply say, there's always opportunities to buy great businesses where you can build your legacy and your life off of what someone else started building.
Absolutely. Take me back to the time when you gave your first sermon, and how the people embrace you around that time. 'Cause I know that had to be a very impactful moment in your life.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see if is it in here? It's not in here. I still have the first tape. I thought it was in my desk. It's not in my desk. It's somewhere in this office though. I still had that first tape. It was my first official sermon. It was on Labor Day weekend, 2000 and something. I don't remember the specific year. Now, I've been preaching before, but it wasn't like an official sermon. I was an associate pastor at the time. And what was crazy is most of the pastoral team was gone that weekend for Labor Day. So I was the associate pastor, but I was also over music. So I was on the keyboard playing. So this is how service went. I'm on the keyboard playing, doing music, leading the praise and worship. And then basically it's time to get up and do, people greet one another, hug one another. So then I get off the keyboard and then one of the other musicians hops on the keyboard. Then I grab the mic and then start preaching. Like I worked the whole service. Like I worked that thing. And, you know what? It was amazing. I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was an amazing message, amazing time. So much fear came up. But at the same time, I felt so alive. And I remember the church secretary, she came to me after and just says, "Oh my God, that was amazing. You are going to be amazing." And I'm thinking, I was very happy and comfortable being a number two, to be honest with you. I didn't want to be a senior pastor because I said, look, I see what some of them go through. And I said, these people ain't going to talk to me like that. I said, these people ain't going to treat me like that. I said, listen, I love the Lord, but I will cut somebody. But I didn't necessarily want to do that. I say that jokingly, but I didn't necessarily want to do that. It was a God thing for me. But yeah, I remember that was my first official sermon was that Labor Day weekend.
Okay. And if you can remember off the top of your head, because just like anything you do in life, if you're a NBA player, NFL player,
Yeah.
everybody always got that one game
Yeah.
they never forget.
Yeah.
As far as ministry, what's that one impactful sermon that you had that resonated with a lot of people that you was like, man, like I really was in my bag that really helped a lot of people.
Yeah, that was that one. Man, you know, um, like you said, several come to mind. One in particular that I think that really was a game changer for many people was when I started teaching about this series called Sins of the Fathers, Breaking Generational Curses. That's what my second book was about. And I remember teaching that. Most people had never heard of the concept, never heard of the idea, like never understood it. And I remember that series was the one that I began to have to do like annually. So that would be it. It was that really that series and kicking off those messages. Most people had never heard that. Most people had never known that some of the stuff they were dealing with was stuff that had been passed down and handed down to them. And I would say that was it. So much so I wrote a book about it. And because I just saw, it's really the story of my life being a curse breaker. But I think everybody is a curse breaker. Everybody's a line crosser. What you got to deal with is different than what I deal with, but we all have to deal with something. How do I take this Bible? How do I take these principles and go conquer these things in life? And so that was it. Sins of the fathers. That was the one.
And well, what made that the one? Like, did you have a lot of people just come back to you after the fact, just saying, just expressing their feelings to you?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You had, 70-year-old man in tears.
Mm.
You had, women in tears, men and women in tears. And tears don't necessarily, mean anything other than you hit something that hit something. You touch something that hit something. And when I saw that, I just said, man, this is incredible. This is amazing. It was the feedback, but it was also the change I began to see in people and how they served and how they acted and how they moved. To me, like I want to see results in people's lives. I'm not the type, I don't just get excited. Some people like crowds, but they don't like people. I like and I love the people that I lead, and I want them to see results in their life. So when people started being able to quote the messages back to me and quote the principles back to me and all of that, I was like, oh, we hit something right here. We hit something right here. And to this day, when I talk about that subject, we always hit something because for most people, they've never, ever been exposed to the concept of it. They'll just be like, this is who I am. This is the way I am. This is where I've always been. Or maybe that was passed down or around to you, and you got to be the one to break it.
Absolutely. What are your short and long term goals? What do you want to accomplish in the next 1 to 5 years?
Love it. So next 1 to 5, we're going to, we're, of course, again, moved our headquarters here to Atlanta. We'll fully launch this location. We'll likely do a couple of other locations in the next 1 to 5 years. We're a hybrid church in Buildings and New Line. And so, it's given us the ability to grow in an amazing way and connect with people of every background, black, white, tall, short, everybody. So that's number one. Number two, I would say in that next 1 to 5 years, I actually want to learn how to fly. I've had this infatuation with aviation for years. And so let me let everybody in. Here's the business play. So you can get a plane and you can get a relatively inexpensive plane that you can use to train. Here's the play. You lease the plane back to schools and flight training institutes and what have you. You have them take care of all the maintenance. So now you can get your training aircraft for $0. That's the play. So sometimes people look at people doing stuff and you don't know there's a play time behind everything. You can monetize everything. You can take that same play and and use it in a variety of different ways. But anyway, I want to learn how to fly. So that's something that I want to do. And it'd be great to be able to do it and at the same time be able to be a blessing to others that want to learn how to fly also, because that would be important to me. That's something I want to do in the next 1 to 5 years. I want to hit every continent. I've not been to every continent. I want to travel to, with the exception of Antarctica. I have zero desire. I do not like the cold. So with that exception, I want to lay my feet on every continent in this world. The world is a big place. And I've been so focused since I was 12 at building and accomplishing things that I haven't taken advantage of the fact that the world is a big place. So those would be a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so we got less than a minute and it's gonna cut off. So you're gonna have to hit the link when it cut off again to get back on.
Gotcha. Okay.
So as far as 2025 and 2026, I know you had said some of the things already about what you had coming, but what's some other things that you didn't mention that you have coming for the rest of the year and 2026?
Got you. So, one is the big release of the book, History Makers, that's the name we're changing the church to. So we're going from Harvest Church to History Makers Church. It's the next level in the evolution of who we are and what we do. And so with that book, it's just showing everybody. Okay.
All right, you can keep going. Yep.
There we go. So, big change. We're changing. So the release of the book, History Makers. That's also the name we're changing the church to. I think everybody should always be in constant evolution, constantly becoming the next best version of you in competition with yesterday's version of yourself. So that's my whole philosophy of life. That's how I do life. And so History Makers is the book. History Makers is the new name of the church. hm.church will be what that will be. But right now it's harvestchurch.church. That's the website. But that's coming up. We've got also, we'll be doing our first, as I mentioned, this community, kings and priests, teaching people how to be both spiritual and successful, but doing it in a community sense form so that you're not alone in doing it. Because sometimes you can feel alone, like I'm the only one trying to do it like this. I'm the only one trying to do it like that. And learning those hacks, like I shared two today. One, acquiring businesses. Two, getting an asset, using that asset so that it monetizes itself, so that it's an asset that is a net benefit to you. Because the other thing is you get the tax benefits of that too. You write that thing off. Not financial or legal advice, but learning those different things to take advantage of all the resources that we've got. So those are the three big things coming up. History Makers book, History Makers Church, and the Kings and Priests community, all in which people can find out more about at bishopforeman.com.
Oh, absolutely. And I ask all my guests this question. As a businessman and as a bishop and just as a person in general, how do you want people to perceive you?
Wow. I think so. Here's what I think about that. I think people going to receive me based on what their need is. I think receptivity is always based on necessity. And so I think people will receive me however, whatever their need is. The way I would like people to remember me after they've had an encounter with me is that that man added value to my life. My life is better. I have increased from being around that man. And that's an important point to me. Like even every uh, friends that maybe we're not close anymore, previous relationships, previous business partners, what have you. It's always important to me. Everyone I talk to always says, regardless of why we're not still connected, life happens. Sometimes just things, you just grow, you move on. But it's important to me that everybody looks back and says, that man added value to my life. I am better today. I remember a young lady that I had dated for a while back. She was getting married, and she told me, she said, I need to thank you. And she says, and I need to tell my fiance thank you. She said, because the woman I am, these are her words. She says, you made me into this. She said, the way I do what I do, the way I handle business, the way I do all that. She said, I knew nothing about these things. You transformed me into that. I said, well, tell your husband to run me a thank you and what have you. But to me, even that, most people don't even like to deal with people from their past. And I understand why. But sometimes your past is the best research to show you the value you add to people so that as you move forward into your future, you know what it is that you do. You know what your secret sauce is. So, people receive me how based on their need of me, but I want people to remember me that no matter what the encounter was, I learned something. I got better. Even if it was an adversarial encounter. I've had encounters with people where maybe they were on the other side of a deal that went south, or they were on the other side of something where I had to take action to defend something or get something handled, or a company that I had to hold accountable. And I remember one gentleman said to me, he said, Bishop, this is, he was an employee of a company. He said, this is off the record. He said, the owner's not going to say this. He says, but I'm going to tell you this. You have made us better. The way you do business, they said, you don't play, and you have made us better. And so I just have to tell you that. And so to me, I said, even though, I had to get adversarial for a minute, the reality is you can't deny that I added value.
Absolutely. So, I want you to do two Mount Rushmores. Give me your Mount Rushmores, a businessman, that you look up to, has the most, influence on your life, and ministers, Mount Rushmore. That
Wow. Yes. Okay. Let's start with ministry. I'm going to say Mount Rushmore ministry. The first would be my pastor, my current pastor right now. His name is Pastor John Hanna. He's out of Chicago, Illinois. He has done amazing. He's a great leader. He actually helped me to be a better pastor. I always operated with love. He taught me to verbalize the love for the people that I have. There's so many simple principles. Him being him gave me the freedom to do what it is that I do and to be who I am. And then when it comes to business, man, there's so many for both that I could give, because I could talk about my late bishop, but I'll give you one for ministry. And then
okay. You
for
got you
business,
got you
I would.
got you got four on each one.
Okay, okay, bet. Okay,
Yeah.
great, got it. So another one is my late bishop, Bishop Eddie L. Long, passed away years ago. The work he did was amazing and unparalleled, and he was so bold in doing what he did and avant-garde. He gave voice to the lion on the inside of me, and that had never been given voice to. So I just thought, am I the only one that thinks like this about it? And then I heard him, and I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. He gave voice. Thirdly, for ministry, I would say I look on some of the greats. I'm inspired by the work of a man like a Bishop T.D. Jakes, for example. I'm inspired by the work that he's done, and I think that he's stepped into other fields and other areas that that have been phenomenal. And I would say outside of that, I look to, there's actually a man, he's Bishop Asen Phillips is his name. He's a pastor in Denver, Colorado. He's like almost 90, probably 90 years old. And he gave me a shot when I was a teenager doing music. He would put me in front of these groups to lead choirs and stuff, in front of the governor, in front of the mayor, in front of all these big groups of people. And he, would have me on TV doing all of these TV spots and things. He gave me a shot, and you used to call me Denver's Kirk Franklin. And I joke with him. I was like, I am taller than Kirk. But he gave me a shot, and he's a great example of that. So many more that I could name. Those are some that quickly come to mind. When it comes to business, around Rushmore for business, I'm going to say one, Steve Jobs. Let me tell you why. His innovation. They say that Steve Jobs was. I won't say that. I won't say that word, but they say he wasn't nice. Because he was so concerned about getting people to produce the innovation of what he did. I admire it. I don't know about you. I don't know if are you an Apple user or an Android user
Apple on had every iPhone that came out.
that came out. Now, would you agree with this? That since Steve has been gone, that the iPhones, that Apple has not been the same?
Um, yes and no.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, I would say no, just because the iPhone is now just looked at. It's such a big brand that they just look into every time it's time for a new one to come out. They just trying to add one new feature just to capitalize on that revenue.
Right.
It ain't like no real passion or
Innovation.
thought behind it.
Right. No, and that's what I mean. There's no innovation. Now I'm gonna be clear. They're gonna get me to upgrade every single time it's time to upgrade. Now I'm gonna be clear about it. But I'm gonna complain the whole time and say this is not the way since Steve was around. When Steve was around, every time it was a phone coming out, there was innovation. So I look to that. I look at, I think another in business that I'm inspired by, Oprah. I love her journey. I love her story. Tyler Perry, love his journey, love his story, starting from nothing. And again, so many that I could name. I think the other one that I would do, there's this lady, her name is Cody Sanchez. And I tried to make the last one on my one that names people may not be familiar with. And she is actually who exposed me to a lot of the concept of, purchasing businesses and mergers and acquisitions and private equity. A lot of her stuff really opened that world up for me in a much greater way than I looked at it before. So many more that I could add to those lists, but those are four that I'll use. I won't even say first to come to mind. Those are just the four that I'll use to answer the question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want the people to know that you got going on both sides, and let people know how to keep up with you as far as like social media,
Yeah.
website, all that good
Most
stuff.
definitely. Most definitely. Well, let me say again, thank you for having me. Thank you for creating these conversations. You never know how one conversation can really change the whole trajectory of somebody's life. And you'll never know that most people who you impact, they don't hit like, they don't send an email. They might not even say thank you. Sometimes the greatest change happens in silence. And only eternity is going to tell the lives you've impacted by creating these conversations. So thank you. Big salute to you for what you do. Keep going. For me to reach out to connect, bishopforeman.com, Foreman, books, music, messages, find out more about the church, more about all of what we offer. I offer one-on-one coaching, the community that I mentioned, Kings and Priests, all of that at bishopforeman.com. And then, of course, on social media, I'd love to know if you watch this or listen to this and something added value to your life. Just hit me up on any of the social media platforms at Bishop Foreman. Again, Foreman. I always look for the verified check. TikTok has 100 fake profiles of me, literally 100. So look for the one with the blue check. What's crazy is some of the fake profiles have more views than my real profile, but I'm good with it. At the end of the day, we're still reaching people, so let it do what it do. But I'd love to hear from you. If you watch this, if you listen to it, something of value is added to your life, let me know. Shoot me a message, and I definitely will respond.
Absolutely. And I'll ask all my guests this question. Um, who would you like to see next on the show as a guest? But
Ooh,
the only kicker is you have to help me get them on the show.
okay. Oh, that's good. Okay. That's really, really, you know who you got to have on this show who I think would be good. His name is Mark. His name is Mark Coley, and he's in Atlanta. And he is a gentleman that I think your audience would love. To be honest with you, he is he's got a brilliant mind. He's like he does a lot of stuff with business and a lot of different things. He's the first person that came to mind when you asked that question. I got a list for you, but he's the first one, and I'm gonna help. I'm gonna write it down right now, and I'm gonna make sure that we get you that information so that you can be on the show with him. He can be on your show with you, rather.
Absolutely. Um, give you a short bio by myself. 'Cause I know I've been asking you a lot of questions, but you know, my people know me as Eric J. the Great. I'm a music artist, and I interviewed a lot of celebrities. You know, I interviewed Cash Doll, the Rez Sean, the Real Rick Ross, Lil Flip, T Rail, a lot of big musicians, big time business people, things like that.
Yeah,
I got music with a lot of big artists too. Got
love that.
songs with Jim Jones, Boosie, Jewel Santana, Vori, people like that. But I was in military 8 years. I got out the military. I got medically retired 5 years ago because I had a lot of little injuries and uh, was special ops in the military. So
Oh,
I
wow.
hit the ground running. So I used to jump out of planes and stuff like that. So it took a toll on my body. I went to
Wow.
Afghanistan twice. And
Wow. Thank you for your service.
thank you. And I started this podcast 3 months before I got out the military because I'm real big on mental health. And I went through a lot of mental health struggles, losing people that I was close to when we was deployed and stuff. So that's one topic I think just among men and among minorities, you know, that we don't
Mhm.
push out to let people know that no matter how successful a person is or how poor a person is, everybody goes through the same things and
Yep.
can relate to each other.
Yep.
And I started because of that. And then I have a book too. It came out 2 years ago. It's called From Stuck to Limitless. Uh, it impacted a lot of people. I get a lot of DMs about it.
Wow.
I became a best-selling author. So
Come through.
it's me and 7 women in the book, and we all wrote about the lowest points in our life and how we overcame it. It's an anthology.
Wow.
People writing about losing family members, postpartum, weight loss, weight gain,
Yeah.
bad relationships, you know, things like that. So anything that people can relate to, you're gonna come across at some point in your life. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. Okay. I know this is your show, but I got to ask you a question. What made you write that book or or compile that book, I should say?
well, I interviewed this lady named Marie McKenzie. She's a best-selling author, and she just stayed in contact with me when she followed me on Instagram, and she kept just like for like a year straight, like she was just every time we talked, she'd be like, "You need to write a book," and
Mhm.
like, and I used to be like, "Okay," and I used to just keep blowing it off, blowing it
Yeah.
off, blowing it off, and then one day I just got up at like 8 in the morning, I pulled my phone out, and I wrote the book in one
Wow.
day on my notes on my phone, and then
Wow.
I sent it to her, and she already knew all the editors and stuff, so she got it edited. And then
Wow.
all the people in the book are best-selling authors. That was my first time ever writing something.
Wow.
So, and that made that book stay number one on Amazon for 3 months.
Wow. Congratulations. You know what? Okay, here's who you gotta have too. Okay, here's my cousin. I could call him my bro because he's from Memphis. This is who you gotta have. Mr. Dale. So he was in 3-6, and got out of 3-6 and started in ministry. That was what, 20 years ago now. And started in ministry. I think y'all would really, really click. I think you would love him as a guest. I mean,
That's not
he
Project Pat, is it?
but yeah, so he was in 3-6 with Project Pat, all of that. Yeah, yeah. Out of Memphis. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
He was in
Project
3-6.
Pat does some with ministry now too.
He does too now. Yep, yep, yep. But my cousin had been doing it years ago, and you know, that whole thing. Y'all gotta talk. Yeah, so hold on, I got two names for you. Let me write it down. I got two for you. Dale Lawrence. That's who you gotta talk to. Mr. Dale. You gotta talk to Dale Lawrence. You gotta get him on the show.
But yeah, I admire anybody that's in ministry, because ministry always have a strong hold on my mind. You know, my great grandma passed away 2 years ago,
My
and
condolences.
the whole time she's been saying ever since I was a baby that I was gonna be a preacher.
Really?
Like she had this thing where every baby that was born in the family, she always tell them what they're gonna be when they get
Wow.
older. And she always says every time I came and visit her, she'd be like, "You ain't a preacher yet? Like, what's going on?"
Wow.
I should be like, man, but I think, I don't know, what I'm saying, if she meant preacher like literally, but I started doing music last year, and I always been a gifted writer, and
Mm-hmm.
I know how to write music, and
Mm-hmm.
it become effortless to me. Like my first
Mm-hmm.
project I put out did over 100,000 streams with no promotion, and
Wow.
I'm just so music is kind of something that I enjoy doing now. I put out stuff every 3 months. I do Christian rap, gospel, and regular hip hop, and I just talk about. It's really like a military genre. 'Cause I talk about everything I went through in the military as far as surviving war and things like that. And I got a gospel song with Vori called "Blessing" that has over 200,000 plays. That's a real
Wow.
good song. And
I can't wait to check it all out. I got the page. Yeah, I can't wait to check it all out.
and I just think that I think that's my form of preaching, because everybody that listen to my music be like, I'll be saying some real stuff, so
Yep. Yep.
I,
And that's just it. To preach just means to proclaim. And the way everybody does it is not going to necessarily be on a stage with the mic in front of a congregation. What if you were bigger than a zip code? What if you were bigger than a building? You know what I mean? And I think, like you just said, what does she mean by that? Sometimes God will give a person the words, and those words are just to help frame what you do, but they don't become the box for what you do. Because you're doing it. You're literally doing what she said you would do. You're literally doing it. You're impacting lives. I mean, think of all those streams. Those are lives. Those are people. Those are ears that are hearing what you're saying, and you're impacting those ears. And sometimes music will go further than a message because it'll reach people that might never hear a message, but the music gives them the message.
yeah.
Yeah.
You also touched on something too, when we first got on, when you were saying that, how people, have bad experiences with churches and things
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
that. I had my own bad experience, with a church like 2 years ago.
Mm.
I ain't been to church since then, because
Mm.
I just me personally, I just think that like anybody that's gonna be in a position of a pastor or anything,
Hmm.
and you're speaking into people's spiritual lives, like I
Hmm.
just feel like anything that you say should be realistic,
Hmm.
in the times that we live in,
Yeah.
and this pastor that I was going to church with,
Hmm.
he was basically he was harping on a message that I didn't necessarily all the way agree with. Like, and he kept harping on it every Sunday. And I was like, why did he keep saying this after every sermon?
Yeah.
After every sermon, he was like, if you listen to worldly music, you're not living right. And I was like, what does he mean by that?
Yeah.
So one of his right hand men, that I knew was close to him, I had expressed my uh, opinion to him. I was like, man, I don't necessarily all the way agree with that. Like, I agree with, music can influence people, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't think you could generalize the message because I can
Yeah.
listen to a rap song and not want to go out here and kill nobody. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So,
Right.
and then, long story short, he took shots at me over the pool pit for like 3 straight weeks.
Right.
And then after 3 weeks, he reached out to me and tried to have a conversation. And when we had the conversation at that time, I kind of had lost respect for him because I was like, it's one thing, you already knew. I know that the minister told you, that I didn't
Right.
agree with you saying. I was trying to get clarification. And instead of you reaching out to me right away, I just think it was just an ego thing. He was taking shots at me because I was like, I knew he was talking about me. I was the only person that said it. So I was
Yeah.
like, so it was just one of those things that I kind of lost respect for him
Yeah.
as a man. It ain't had nothing to him being a pastor. I was just like, and then I just stopped going.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. I understand that. You know what? And that can happen. I had an experience too. And let me tell you, for me, it was so intense. I remember saying this. I said, God, I said, listen, um, there has to be a hell. Because if this is how your people are, they can go straight to hell. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it 100. And I was an associate pastor at the time. I said, God, these people. And you know what I had to do? I had to learn how to separate God's people from God and realize that, if you view church like what it is, it's a training center. And when people are getting trained, they don't always do it right. If you look at it like a hospital, well, people in hospitals, they're there because they need treatment. We all need treatment. And so sometimes the patience is going to act up. Like that's what it is. And so I just have to learn to separate the two. And so listen, people are people are people are people are people. I learned to separate the two and I don't take anything personal. I don't travel with any baggage in the sense that all these things are, I've got all these things that, some sense of baggage or what have you. For me, I just learn, what people are going to say things, people are going to do things. And I give people the freedom to do those things. I'm going to say some things. I'm going to do some things, that people may not necessarily like or enjoy or think and whatever. And at the end of the day, we just keep it moving, So I encourage you to to ask God to get you to the shepherd that he assigns you to. Because the voice he assigns you to, that thing will be spiritual and it'll be a connection. And that could be anywhere across America, around the world. Because that's literally what I prayed. I prayed, Lord, like who's the shepherd? Who speaks life into me? And then that's what that's what we connect to. Jeremiah 3, I give you shepherds after my own heart that feed you with knowledge and understanding. A lot of times when we go to church, we get caught up in all the other stuff, the music, the kids program, the this, the that. And that stuff is nice. The building, the location, how far is it? That's nice, but it has nothing to do with the voice that he assigns you to. And when you hear that voice, you'll know that voice and then you connect to that voice. And that's what I've done my whole life. My whole life, I have only had three shepherds. One from when I was a kid, or teenager rather. Two, my late bishop. Three, my current pastor. That's it. And I'd still be my late bishop if he didn't pass away. That's it. At the end of the day, that's just what it's been. And because to me, I don't just believe in the principle of leading people. I believe if you're going to be over people, who are you under? Submission is not a weak thing. Submission is a strong thing. Like it takes a strong man to yield himself and submit to another man and not in any kind of weird or crazy way. The reason I'm in Atlanta today is because I had the dream to do it. I had the vision to do it. I was like, but things were fine in Denver. I had no reason to leave Denver. Everything was amazing. And I remember I was downtown with my pastor. He was coming to preach for me. And we were downtown. We went to eat. And I said, all right, sir, I'm thinking about Atlanta. And if you say no, I'm scrapping it. He said, go for it. That's why I'm here today.
And I had one last thing I did,
Yeah.
before we get off here, that I did while I was in that church. They had a youth ministry.
Uh,
I'm real entrenched with the youth here, so I was like, I'm 32 years old, but I know I'm about to be 32, but I
yeah.
know what's going on. So I
Yeah.
was like, they had a youth ministry. I agree with the mission at first. They said that we're going to do ages 19 to 30. I was like, all right, that's cool. Then a week later, they said, oh, we're going to do 19 to 40. And I said, that's not going to work. And they was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, they was like, why you say it's not going to work? Well, I was like, because if I bring four 20-year-olds in here right now, their 20 is different than your 20.
Yeah.
You was 20. You wasn't dealing with social media and all this other stuff. So you can't relate to them.
Yep.
So I was like, they automatically, it's gonna be awkward.
Yep.
It's gonna be some kind of distance. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like, and then I was telling them, everybody doesn't have the strength to just walk through the church and just be like, I want to give my life to Christ. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think that so much is being focused on everybody is comfortable and just being in a building. And
Yeah.
when I think of Jesus, I was like, it's not, I was like, to be honest, I said, if I was to take 10 of y'all in the hood, y'all would
Mm-hmm.
be scared to talk to y'all own people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't know what to do.
And I was like, and these people is the same people that we got in the church.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, it ain't enough focus being put on outreach because I was like, when I think of Jesus, I was like, every story you think about, he wasn't in a church.
Mm-hmm.
And he was dealing with the worst of people. It was prostitutes, people that stole stuff, people that was
Yep.
murderers, like all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, um, I had a podcast episode about that the last time I went to church because it was just heavy on my mind. I just did
Yeah.
audio, no visual, and I just spoke for like 20 straight minutes. And I was just like, I said if it's really about saving lives and getting people to get a life to Christ, you need to be everywhere. You
Mm-hmm.
just can't expect everyone to just walk through those doors. If
Yeah.
that's the case, then you know what I'm saying, your number's not going to be that high.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
meet where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right about it. Where are you located?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville. Okay. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just in
Yeah.
Atlanta. I was just in Atlanta a month ago. I was in Coach K and QCP them studio doing some music. My mom's
Nice.
staying in Columbus, Georgia.
Okay, yeah, but I know that drive. I've preached out there several times. I know that drive. Wow. Well, next time you're here, we got to connect. And I encourage you, like I said, to pray for that voice that you connect to, and then connect to that. But then too, sometimes those things are a burden on us because those are the things that we're supposed to step out. You're doing a lot of it already, but maybe that's something for you to unlock even further and look into because you're right. And here's the thing: everybody doesn't have the gift, nor the burden, nor the skill to do what you're talking about. And you're right. Most Christians, you drop them that's most Christians. You drop them in a neighborhood, they don't know what to do. But somebody that's got the gifts, skills, talent, and burden for that, oh, you come alive. And maybe what looked like a closed door was really to open you up to some of the things that God wants to do in you and through you. There's a reason that burden is on you like that. And sometimes we can't find the answer because we are the answer. But let's stay connected. I got to get you your two guests. Let's stay connected because I think this is divine connection.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't just do interviews. I talk about topics that I know people could come across in their life, whether that be, had topics go viral when I was talking
Yeah.
about fake friends, ghost followers, child support. And what
Yeah.
I mean by ghost followers is people that follow you, but
Hmm.
they don't really support nothing they
No
do.
support.
They're just keeping up with you, just keeping tabs on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And police brutality. I had
Yeah.
2 episodes. I interviewed two families up here. They lost their family members to police brutality up here, and one of the families ended up getting a lawsuit judgment, ended up getting some money from the city, but they came and talked on my show. They was the only outlet that they talked to, because then nobody talked to them. So.
Wow. 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 You preaching? You doing it? You doing what she said? You're doing what she said. Can I pray for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Father, just thank you for this time. Thank you for this connection, Lord. We don't believe in coincidences. That word doesn't exist in Hebrew, so they don't exist. There's divine connections. And God, I thank you. We commit this connection to you. Let this conversation bless the lives of so many people that are listening, that are watching. God, let your will be done. I pray that everybody would recognize that if they've still got a pulse, you've still got a plan. And maybe what looked like a period was really a new beginning, a brand new sentence beginning and starting. And sometimes we can't find the answer because God, we are the answer. So I pray you awaken the answer that's in everybody right now. And thank you for this amazing vessel, this amazing man that you're using and doing amazing things through. And you're preaching through God in very unconventional ways. I pray that he reach everything and everyone you've called for him to reach, God. I pray for his mind. I pray for his peace. I pray he'd be this, shalom, that nothing would be missing, nothing would be broken, nothing would be lacking, and all would be well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. I've been in a good space lately. Just because, had a health scare like a little over a month ago. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. They had to,
Oh, wow.
had to suck like 130 pounds of fluid off me. My blood pressure was like 220 over something.
Wow.
And I had kidney failure or something. So I,
Wow.
back out of 2 weeks and you want to even, I'm way slimmer than what I was. I was like 420 pounds. I'm almost back now to my army military weight.
Wow.
But,
Wow.
been putting a lot of that struggle in the music I've been recording here lately, but just, so I feel like, been revived here lately. And I was
Yeah.
telling my buddy earlier before we hopped on here, I was like, put a lot of things in perspective because
Yep.
it's like, a lot of stuff we let consume our mind,
Hmm.
things like that don't even be worth,
Nope.
consuming our mind. I just focus on, just, um, just having as many good times I can until, I pass away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Living, not just existing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's the name of the game. Listen, I'm gonna get you those. I've got. Let's make sure. Well, I'll make sure I get the right info because I want to get those over to you. They're waiting for me here in this other
Oh,
studio. No, you're good. You're good. All is well. I was late, so they're okay. They're waiting for me over here in this other studio for me to jump in. But listen, I'm serious. Let's stay connected. I'm gonna make sure I get your info with Katrina so I can get you those guest info and then stay connected with you.
yeah, yeah. But all my social media is Eric J the Great.
Yeah, I got
Even
you. I got you right here. Yep.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So that's all my Instagram and all that stuff. And I post almost every week, and I do episodes whenever they come through my email and things like that. So
Right. Perfect. Perfect. Sounds like a plan. All right, sir. Well, listen, I'm gonna hit you back, and such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
all right, no problem.
Okay.
Everybody, this concludes the episode of Eric J. the Great Podcast Show. Everybody tap in with Bishop Kevin Foreman. Check out his website and be on the lookout for all the great things he got coming in the future. And go check out all his books that we mentioned earlier. And anybody that's in Atlanta or Denver area, go check out his church.
Or online, anywhere. They can watch anywhere.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I appreciate this, man. It was a great conversation, and
Likewise.
yeah, definitely be one I always remember.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, listen, we connected now, so look, can't get rid of me. When I say it, I mean it. So,
Yeah.
pleasure. Appreciate you. Big salute.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, now.
Yep.